All right, good morning and welcome to Master Talker online class. Today we'll be talking about continuation of differentiation. If you have not watched our first video on differentiation, you can do that. Today we'll be talking about the rules in differentiation. The rules. The first in differentiation. Okay. The first rule we are going to talk about is the chain rule. Okay. Now, I explained in the first video about chain rule. You can watch that. I'll just solve some questions there. Okay. Don't forget that the formula for chain rule is that if y is a function of u and u is a function of x, then to find the y, the x, all we need to do is to find the dy, du times du dx, which I told you that the shortcut to it is just to say differentiate the bracket, differentiate everything. So what we need to do is to know which one is in the bracket. So the first question I'm going to solve is let y be equal to let's talk about polynomials first. Maybe 2x squared minus 3x plus 2 everything raised to power 4, something like this. If you are given something like this, okay, we've seen the one in the bracket, let's call it u. So let u be equal to what? 2x squared minus 3x plus 2. Okay, since you have said that this one is u, automatically to get your y should be what? This is u then raised to power what? 4. As simple as that. Now these two can give me du dx, okay, which is what? Multiply by the power, remove 1 from the power. I'm having 4x minus differentiation of 3x is 3. Differentiation of a constant is 0. That one is gone. To get these two will give me dy du, okay, which is what? Differentiate, multiply by the power, remove 1 from the power. 4u raised to power what? 3. So since I've gotten my du dx and dy du, I will tell them therefore my dy dx is simply to multiply the two of them, which is what? Du dx times dy du. Okay, now if you look at this, you will now see that if these two cancel itself, I'm having dy dx. So therefore, so what do we do now? This one gave me 4x minus 3 is being multiplied by 4u raised to power 3, which is what? Take the 4 to the back. 4 bracket 4x minus 3. Then what is my u? My u is 2x squared minus 3x plus 2, all raised to power what? 3. And that's all. You see, it's a very simple something. Now let us use the shortcut that I taught you in the former video. The shortcut just said differentiate the bracket, then differentiate everything. Okay, but normally to do it is differentiate the bracket times differentiate everything. But to say it so that it will be easy for you, just say differentiate the bracket, differentiate everything. So if we differentiate the bracket, I'm having this times this, I'm having 4x. Okay, this times this, I'm having 4x. Then differentiation of minus 3x will give me what? Minus 3. Differentiation of a constant is 0. So I have differentiated the bracket. Now then I say differentiate everything. To differentiate everything means to differentiate something that has raised to power 4. How do you do that? Multiply by the power and remove 1 from the power. So which is what? Times multiply by the power 4 bracket what? 2x raised to power 2 minus 3x plus 2. Then remove 1 from the power. 4 minus 1. You see that? So differentiate the bracket first. You have this. Then differentiate everything. Differentiating everything is what? Multiply by the power and remove 1 from the power. So my answer becomes 4 bracket 4x minus 3. Then bracket what? 2x squared minus 3x plus 2. All raised to power what? 3. You see? That is that. The same result. Okay, the next question we're going to solve. The next question we're going to solve is number 2. Okay, this is for trigonometry. Okay, now let's go to exponential. Number 2 question, exponential. Maybe I have y is equal to maybe 4e raised to power sine x, something like this. What do you do? Now the one in bracket is this one. Normally it's supposed to be e raised to power x, but I'm not having sine x there. So that sine x is the bracket. So I'll say let what? Let u be that sine x. So therefore, my y will now be what? 4 e raised to power what? That's u. So let's go now. These two will give me du dx, which is what? Differentiation of sign is what? Is just cos x, comma. Then dy du. Dy du will give me what? Differentiation of e raised power something is e raised power that thing. So 4 e raised power that thing doesn't change. So my answer is now what? Dy dx is simply to multiply the two of them, which is what? Du dx times dy du, which is what? Which is what now? Cos x times 4 e raised to power u, which is what? 4 cos x, then e raised to power. What is my u? My u is what? Sine x. Okay? So that is how to solve it using the formula. But using the shortcut I taught you, differentiate the bracket, differentiate everything. So they gave me that y is equal to 4 e raised to power sine x. So and I told you that the one in bracket is that sine x. So and it says differentiate the bracket. So dy dx said differentiate the bracket. So differentiate the bracket sine x. I'm having what? Cos x times differentiate everything. Differentiating 4 e raised power something is what? 4 e raised power that thing. It doesn't change. So my answer finally becomes 4 cos x e raised power sine x. See, that's why it is called a shortcut. So one hand you can get the answer. So the next one we're going to talk about, okay, let me solve one more question in exponential. Then we move to logarithm. Okay, one more question here. If I have let y be equal to maybe 3 e raised to power 2x squared plus 5. Okay, something like this, or maybe plus 5x plus 3. So I have this. Now on a normal it's supposed to be what? Just e raised power x, but since it has another thing, so that is the bracket. I can say let what? Let u be that 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. Okay, so therefore my y will now be what? 3 e raised power what? U. So these two will give me what? Du dx, which is what? Multiplied by the power 4x. These two will give me what? Just 5. Differentiation of a constant is what? Is 0. So I'm done with this. So dy du is simply what? Differentiation of e raised power something is e raised power that thing. It doesn't change. So my answer becomes dy dx is simply what? Du dx times dy du. So let us do that. Let's do that, child of God. If we do that, I'm having what? 4x plus 5 in bracket of what? 3 e raised power u, which is what? 3 bracket 4x plus 5. Then e raised power, what is my u? 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. Okay, so that is that. But let us use the shortcut to solve it. Let's use the shortcut. Don't forget that the shortcut to chain rule is what? Differentiate the bracket, differentiate everything. So they gave me that y is equal to 3 e raised to power 2x plus 5x plus 3, 2x squared. So they said differentiate the bracket. So this one at the exponential is in the bracket. So dy dx is differentiating this bracket. I'm having 4x plus 5. That is the bracket. Then times differentiate everything. Differentiate e raised power something will still give you what? 3 e raised power that thing. 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So my answer becomes what? Bring the 3 at the back. 3 bracket 4x plus 5. Then e raised power what? 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. Okay, so you see it's very, very simple. So we are done with exponential. So let's go to logarithm before we go to trigonometry. These are the 4 we're going to solve. Okay, for logarithm, I'm having that y is equal to logarithm. I'm having that y is equal to 4 ln cos x. Okay, 4 ln cos x. On a normal, it's supposed to be ln x, but since I have ln cos x, that cos x is the bracket. So we say let u be what? That cos x. So therefore my y will now be what? 4 ln u. Okay, so these two will give me what? Du dx, which is what? Differentiation of course is what? Minus sign. So that is why you need to know that standard derivative. If you know that standard derivative, there is nothing you cannot solve in differentiation. So dy du will give me what? 4 bracket 1 over u. Don't forget that ln x gave us 1 over x. So ln u will give us 1 over u. So it will now be 4 over u. So therefore my answer is now dy dx is equal to what? Du dx times dy du. Okay, so what do we do now? So what do we do? We are now having minus sine x times 4 over u, which will give you what? Minus 4 sine x, minus 4 sine x all over u is what? Cos x. Now if you look at sine over cos according to trigonometry is tan. So my answer is now what? Minus 4 tan x. Minus 4 tan x. Okay, so that is that. Now let's use the shortcut and know if we are going to get the same answer. Okay, the question said that y is equal to 4 ln cos x. So therefore dy dx, I told you is what? Differentiate the bracket first. And which one is the bracket? Differentiate the bracket, and the one that is bracket is the cos x. Then differentiate everything. So if I differentiate cos x, what am I going to have? Sorry. So if I differentiate cos x, I'm going to have what? Differentiate the bracket cos x, I'm going to have what? Minus sine x. Okay? Then differentiating 4 ln something will give you what? 4. Then 1 over that thing. I hope you know. Because ln x is 1 over x. So ln cos x is 1 over this. So I'm having what? Minus 4 sine x over what? Cos x. And sine over cos according to trigonometry is what? Tan. So I'm having minus 4 tan x. You see, differentiation is the one of the simplest topic we are going to do in maths. So that is that. Let me give you one more example for logarithm. Maybe I have that y is equal to minus 3 over 2 ln 2x squared plus 5. Something like this. Okay, so let's go. It's supposed to be ln x. So since it's ln 2 something, so I'm going to have what? That y, we tell them that let u be equal to what? That's 2x squared plus 5. Then my y will now be what? Minus 3 over 2 ln u. Okay, so what is now my answer? I'm going to have that du dx is equal to what? 4x, because differentiation of this is 0. So I'm going to have dy du. Dy du will give you minus 3 over 2 staying itself. Ln u will give you what? 1 over u. I hope you know, which is what? Minus 3 over what? 2u. Because minus 3 times 1 minus 3. 2 times u, 2u. So my answer becomes dy dx becomes du dx times dy du. Okay, so my answer is now what? 4x times minus 3 over what? 2u. So my answer becomes what? Minus 4 minus 12x all over 2 bracket what? 2 bracket 2x squared plus 5. But if you look at it, you see that 2 can cancel 12. So I'm having minus 6x all over what? 2x squared plus 5. Okay, so that is that. Let us solve it using the shortcut. Let's solve it using the shortcut. The question said y is equal to minus 3 over 2 ln 2x squared plus 5. So what do? I'm having that that dy dx said differentiate the bracket, which will give me what? 4x times differentiation ln something will give you what? 1 over that thing. So leaving the constant minus 3 over 2 ln something will give you what? 1 over that thing, 2x squared plus 5. So finally I'm having 2 can take care of here to have 2. 2x times minus 3 will give you minus 6x all over 2x squared plus 5. So the same answer, as simple as that. So don't forget that the shortcut to chain rule is what? Differentiate the bracket, differentiate everything. So we have done polynomial, done exponential, done logarithm. So let's go to trigonometry. For trigonometry, if I had said that let y be equal to minus 4 cos 2x squared plus 5. Okay, now on the normal is always cos x. So since it's cos something, I will not say that one is the bracket. So I'll say let u be that 2x squared plus 5. Okay, then my y will now be what? Minus 4 cos what? U, because this one is now u. So du dx is supposed to be what? 4x, okay? Then dy dx should be what? Minus 4 bracket. Differentiation of cos u will give you minus sin u. So minus minus is plus. So I'm having 4 sin u. So my answer automatically becomes dy dx is what? Du dx times dy du, which is what? 4x times what? 4 sin u, which is what? 16x sin, what is my u? 2x squared plus 5. You see, it's very, very simple. So let's use the shortcut again. Y is equal to minus 4 cos 2x squared plus 5, which will give you what? That dy dx is equal to, differentiate the bracket first to give you 4x. Differentiating everything is what? Bring down your minus 4. Differentiation of cos something is what? Minus sin that thing. Minus sin 2x squared plus 5. Okay? So what do we have now? Minus minus is plus. 4 times this, I'm having 16x. Then sin 2x squared plus 5. You see? The same answer and very, very simple. Okay. Let's solve like 2 or more questions. Just 2 questions there. We are done with chain rule. We'll go to another rule. So I'm having that y. They say y is equal to 5 minus 5 cos squared theta, or cos squared x. In fact, must I always be using dy dx? Let me use theta. Yes, cos squared theta. So then I say find dy d theta. Find dy d theta. So what do? Whenever you have this thing is the same as saying that y is equal to minus 5. Then cos theta all squared. This thing and this thing are the same thing. So it will not help you to see the one that is the bracket. See that the one that is the bracket is what? That cos theta. So I will say let u be equal to what? That cos theta. So therefore my y will not be what? Minus 5 u squared. So these two will give me du d theta. Du d theta is what? Minus sin theta. Because the differentiation of cos is minus sin. Then dy du should be what? Multiply by the power, remove 1 from the power. I'm having minus 10u. So multiplying the two of them, I'm having dy d theta should be what? Du d theta times dy du. So that du cancel du, I'm having my dy d theta back. So substitute minus sin theta times minus 10u, which is what? Minus plus is minus is plus. So I'm having 10 sin theta. My u is what? Cos theta. So 10 sin theta cos theta is the result. Okay. So the next one I'm going to do. Okay. So I'm going to have okay, what if I have that y, the last question I'm going to solve, that y is equal to minus 3, okay, let me use 3, minus 3 sine squared 4x. Something like this. Minus 3 sine squared 4x. Okay, so, I did not use shortcut here, but I'm going to use shortcut here so that you see that it's the same thing. Whenever you have squared here, even if it is not squared, let me even use 3. Since I've used squared here, let me use 3 here. So what do? That y is equal to 3 sine 4x. Then all raised to power, that's 3. Let me use 5 so that all the number will not be the same thing. All raised to power 5. Let me use 5, okay? So now, I now have this. It shows that I've gotten the one in the bracket. So I'm going to have that what? Let u be the one in the bracket, which is sine 4x. Okay? Then my y will now be what? 3u raised to power 5. So du dx is, if you come here, this one is another chain rule. So I'm going to use differentiate the bracket, differentiate everything. So if I differentiate 4x, I'm going to have 4. Then differentiate sine something will give me what? Cos that thing. So you don't get confused, please. You see why the shortcut is important. So you know where to apply it immediately. So here will now give me dy du is what? Multiply by the power, remove 1 from the power. Minus 15 u raised to power 4. So my answer becomes dy dx is now what? Du dx times dy du. So which is what? 4 cos 4x times 15 u squared, which is what? 15 times will give you 60 cos 4x sine what? Sine squared, is it raised to power 2 or raised to power 4? Raised to power 4. Sine 4, then what? Okay, sine 4x, then raised to power 4, which can be written like this: 60 cos 4x, then sine 4x, like this. Okay, they are all the same thing. So let me use shortcut and solve it so that you will see that it's the same thing. So I'm having that y is equal to 3 sine 5 4x. I will rewrite it to be y is equal to 3 sine 4x raised to power 5. I have seen the one that is the bracket, and the shortcut said differentiate the bracket. Differentiating sine 4x means differentiate this bracket again before differentiating everything. So I'm going to have 4 cos 4x times differentiating something that has raised to power means multiply by the power and remove 1 from the power. So which is what? 15 bracket what? Sine 4x, then raised to power what? 4. Okay, so what do we have now? I'm going to have 60 cos 4x, then sine 4x, all raised to power 4, which is what? 60 cos 4x, then sine 4x. Okay, thank you very much for watching. In our next video, we now go into product rule and quotient rule. Thank you.